Have you ever wondered why the moment you're closest to giving up feels strangely heavier than all the moments before it? Not loud, not dramatic, just heavy, like something unseen is pressing against your chest, asking one quiet question you cannot escape. What if this waiting is not rejection but restraint? What if the delay you hate is the very thing holding your future together? You have been patient longer than you ever planned to be. You stayed hopeful when hope felt foolish. You kept believing when answers refused to show up. And yet the silence kept stretching. Days turned into months. Months turned into questions you stopped asking out loud. You smiled in front of people while carrying conversations inside your mind that never seemed to end. You prayed, you worked, you waited, and still nothing moved. That kind of waiting changes a person. It wears you down in ways no one else can see. It makes you doubt your worth, your timing, even your faith. You start wondering if you missed something, if you misunderstood everything, if maybe this promise was never meant for you at all. That thought hurts the most because it feels personal, like you were overlooked. But here is the truth few people tell you. The longest waits are rarely empty. They are full of quiet preparation. The mind struggles with this because the brain craves visible progress. When nothing seems to change, it assumes nothing is happening. But growth does not always make noise. Foundations are laid underground. Roots grow in darkness. Strength forms when no one is watching, not even you. There is a reason this season feels intense. Pressure is not random. It is shaping. It reveals cracks that comfort never would. It forces you to confront fears you avoided when life was easier. It strips away false confidence and replaces it with something steadier, something real. That discomfort you feel is not proof of failure. It is proof that something important is being built inside you. Think about how much you have learned during this wait, about yourself, about patience, about what actually matters. Think about the habits that fell away, the illusions that broke, the version of you that would not have survived what is coming next. You were not being punished. You were being prepared. There is also something else happening, something deeper. Waiting rewires the heart. It teaches you to listen instead of rush, to trust instead of control, to stand firm when outcomes are uncertain. That kind of strength cannot be rushed. If it were handed to you early, it would collapse under the weight of what it needs to carry. You feel tired because you have been holding more than you realize. You have been standing in faith without evidence. That takes courage, even if you never called it that. You showed up when walking away would have been easier. You kept going when no one would have blamed you for stopping. That matters more than you know. This is where the shift begins. Not with fireworks, not with instant relief, but with understanding. The waiting was never about slowing you down. It was about aligning you, sharpening you, clearing space for something that requires a stronger version of you than the one you used to be. Stay here a little longer, not because you have no choice, but because this moment is meaningful. The pressure you feel is not a dead end. It is a doorway forming. And doors do not appear fully built. They take shape quietly, piece by piece, until one day you realize you are no longer standing in the same place you started. You are closer than your emotions will allow you to believe. And what feels delayed is not denied. It is unfolding carefully, deliberately, in ways that will soon make sense. That unfolding is not gentle. It presses on your decisions. It challenges your habits. It asks more of you than comfort ever did. This is the moment where waiting turns into responsibility. Because once awareness arrives, neutrality disappears. You cannot unknow what you now feel stirring inside you. Something is asking you to rise, not emotionally, practically, in the way you think, in the way you choose, in the way you speak to yourself when no one else is around. The preparation season is ending, and preparation without movement turns into regret. That is why the urgency feels sharp. Time is no longer stretching, it is narrowing. You may feel resistance right now. That is normal. The mind protects what is familiar, even when the familiar is painful. Growth threatens identity. Change demands a version of you that cannot hide behind excuses anymore. That tension you feel is the space between who you were and who you are becoming. Staying still will not relieve it. Moving forward will. This is where faith becomes active. Not loud, not performative, active. Belief expressed through discipline, through consistency, through choices that align with what you say you want, even when motivation fades. This is the part no one applauds. The private decisions, the quiet obedience, the moments where you choose long-term purpose over short-term relief. You are being trusted with more than you think. Opportunities do not arrive randomly. They meet readiness, and readiness is proven in pressure, when distractions lose their grip, when excuses sound hollow, when you stop waiting for clarity and start acting on conviction. That is when alignment locks in. Pay attention to what no longer fits, old patterns, old fears, old versions of you that survived but never truly lived. They cannot go where you are being led. Holding on to them will slow what is already in motion. Letting go will feel risky, but staying the same will cost more. This is not about perfection. It is about direction. Forward motion, even when uncertain, rewires the brain for confidence. Each small action reinforces identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone waiting to be chosen and start acting like someone who already is. That shift changes everything. The window you are in will not stay open forever. Moments like this pass quietly, and most people miss them because they wait for dramatic signs. But transformation rarely announces itself. It whispers, it nudges, it creates discomfort that only makes sense in hindsight. Those who respond move ahead. Those who hesitate stay where they are. You have already been strengthened enough to take the next step. You did not endure this season just to retreat back into safety. What you carry now is different. Your perspective is sharper. Your tolerance for meaningless things is lower. Your desire for purpose is stronger. That is not accidental. The path forward will demand courage before it offers comfort, action before reassurance, trust before evidence. That is how real growth works. Waiting shaped you. Now movement defines you. The decision to act turns pressure into power. This is the moment to align your actions with what you say you believe, to stop delaying the work you know matters, to show up fully instead of halfway. The unfolding does not pause for indecision. It responds to commitment. Step into this with intention, not fear, not hesitation, intention. Because what has been forming in silence is ready to meet you in motion. And once you move, you will realize the waiting was never the end of the story. It was the threshold. Once you step forward, everything begins to respond. Not instantly, not loudly, but unmistakably. Resistance starts to loosen. Confusion loses its grip. What once felt heavy begins to feel directed. This is where momentum replaces doubt. You are no longer waiting for permission. You are moving with purpose. Clarity does not arrive before action. It follows it. The mind wants certainty first, but faith works in reverse. You act, then understanding catches up. That is why hesitation is dangerous here. Staying still now does not keep you safe. It keeps you stuck. The cost of inaction has become greater than the fear of moving forward. You were not brought this far to stall at the edge. Everything you endured refined you for this stretch. The pressure, the silence, the unanswered prayers, they stripped away dependency on comfort and built resilience instead. That resilience is your signal. You are ready for more responsibility, more impact, more meaning. This is where many people retreat, when the vision sharpens, when excuses run out, when effort becomes unavoidable. But this is also where lives separate, those who return to what is familiar and those who commit to what is calling them. Comfort will always invite you back. Purpose asks you to keep going. You can feel it now. A pull towards something higher, a dissatisfaction with staying the same. That restlessness is not impatience. It is alignment activating. Your spirit recognizes that the season has shifted, even if circumstances have not caught up yet. Internal change always leads external change. This moment requires ownership, not blame, not comparison, ownership of your choices, of your time, of your focus, every distraction you remove strengthens your direction. Every disciplined action compounds. You are building evidence for yourself that you are capable of more than survival. You are capable of growth. The fear you feel is not a warning. It is a threshold. Fear shows up when identity is about to expand, when the old version of you can no longer contain what you are stepping into. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is movement in spite of it. There will be days when progress feels invisible again. That does not mean you are back where you started. Motion does not always feel dramatic. Sometimes it feels like quiet persistence. Sometimes it feels like choosing the harder path without applause. Those are the days that matter most. You are being positioned for something that requires consistency, not intensity. Faithfulness over flashes of motivation. Daily alignment over emotional highs. That is how lasting change is built. One decision at a time, one disciplined choice stacked on the next. Do not underestimate the power of obedience in small things. What you do when no one is watching determines what you can handle when everyone is. The unfolding response to integrity, to alignment, to action that matches belief. This is not a moment to shrink back. It is a moment to stand taller, to speak differently to yourself, to stop negotiating with fear. You have outgrown the version of you that needed constant reassurance. What lies ahead demands trust without guarantees. Move with confidence, even if your hands shake. Commit, even if you do not see the full path. What is unfolding is bigger than comfort and stronger than doubt. The weight refined you. The pressure prepared you. Now, actio and completes the process. Step fully into this season. Not halfway, not cautiously, fully. Because once you do, you will realize this was never about waiting for God to move. It was about becoming ready to move when He did. When you commit fully, the ground beneath you starts to shift, not because the world suddenly becomes easier, but because you are no longer standing in the same place internally. Your posture changes. Your decisions sharpen. You stop asking whether it will work and start asking what obedience looks like today. That is when momentum becomes undeniable. This is the stretch where distractions try harder than ever. Comfort calls louder. Old habits resurface with convincing arguments. They offer familiarity, not fulfillment. They promise relief, not purpose. This is the test of focus. What you feed now grows. What you tolerate now stays. What you confront now loses power. You are being invited into a higher level of trust. Not emotional trust, but practiced trust. The kind that shows up early. The kind that follows through. The kind that acts even when results lag behind effort. This is where faith becomes visible. Not to others, but to yourself. There is no room here for half belief. Partial commitment creates constant frustration. It keeps you exhausted without progress, but full alignment creates flow. Energy returns, confidence builds. You begin to recognize yourself again, not as someone hoping for change, but as someone creating it with God's guidance. This is where identity locks in. You stop seeing yourself as behind, late, or lacking. You start seeing yourself as positioned, chosen for this moment, trusted with this responsibility. That shift silent, CES comparison. Other people's timelines lose their hold on you. You move at the pace obedience requires, not impatience demands. Pressure will still exist. Challenges will still rise. But they no longer define you. They refine you. Each obstacle becomes confirmation that you are moving forward, not backward. Resistance only appears when direction is correct. Ease rarely accompanies purpose. You were never meant to arrive unchanged. The waiting altered you. The movement revealed you. Now the unfolding requires consistency, not perfection, consistency, showing up again, choosing discipline again, believing again, even when progress feels slow. This is where many quit quietly, not because they fail, but because they get tired of becoming. Becoming requires shedding layers, letting go of excuses that once protected you, releasing identities that no longer fit. That process is uncomfortable but necessary. What you are stepping into cannot be carried by who you used to be. You do not need more signs. You need more follow-through. You do not need more emotion. You need more alignment. The call on your life responds to action. When you move, provision meets you. When you commit, clarity sharpens. When you trust, doors open in ways logic cannot explain. This moment matters more than you realize. Decisions made here echo longer than feelings felt here. The discipline you choose now compounds into outcomes later. You are laying tracks for the future you have been praying for. Do not rush past this moment. Do not numb it. Do not delay it. Stand firm in what you know. You are not early. You are not late. You are on time. The process was precise. The timing intentional. Nothing was W-asted. Every tear, every delay, every quiet stretch served a purpose you can now carry. This is not the end. It is the beginning of visible fruit. But fruit only comes to those who stay rooted, who keep showing up when applause is absent, who trust the unseen work more than temporary comfort. Move forward with confidence. Let your actions match your prayers. Let your discipline reflect your faith. God's plan is no longer hidden in waiting. It is revealed in motion. And as you continue step by step, you will see what was unfolding all along was not just a promise being fulfilled, but a person being prepared to receive it.